Houston Real Estate Radio starts right now.
Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm Shannon Register. In this segment, we have a very special guest. We've got Dr. Lori. She is from Discovery Channel's hit TV show, Auction King. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Shannon. Nice to be with you.
So this is exciting. What are you doing out here today at the 11th Annual Fall Woodlands Home and Garden Show?
This is my third year here at the Woodlands Home and Garden Show, and this is a fabulous show. Innovative ideas for your home and remodeling projects. So all of our experts are here in the show hall, and I'm doing free antique appraisals as I do on my tour. People can bring their objects and have been. We had a standing room only crowd the first show.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Houston's always fun. And I do my antique appraisal show at more than 150 events all over the country every year where people bring me their objects and they find out, is it junk or am I a millionaire?
You don't buy it from them. You tell them what it's worth so they can go sell it or do whatever they want to do with it.
You make a really good point. It is very similar to appraisals in real estate. The person who appraises your house is not allowed by law to get involved in the sale. Mm-hmm. And that should be the way it is in antiques too.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be. Because it gets totally away from this conflict of interest. So I appraise objects only, and basically people say, I want her because she has a PhD in the field and she evaluates about 20,000 objects a year. So she's going to tell me what she's got and what it's really worth. And you know this from your expertise. You know that, when you are trying to sell a house, you have to think about cleaning out the objects, and you need to know the value of those objects.
Right.
So when I do in-home appraisals, a lot of the folks I work with are, of course, people in the real estate industry, because they're saying, we're trying to help our clients to move along in their lives, and we have to make sure that the objects don't hold them back.
Well, and sometimes you think stuff's worth more than it really is, and you need
sometimes,
that clarity.
Yes, you do. Sometimes you think stuff is worth more than it really is, and you don't want to make the mistake that many people do of getting rid of something that can be quite valuable. So you want to think about those types of things. You don't want to just go, I'm getting a dumpster, I'm cleaning everything out. You want to also say, I want to clean some stuff out, but I want to make sure that I have an expert help me to identify what's valuable, the same way that they have an expert help you identify which home is right for them.
So you're giving free appraisals out here at the home show.
Yes.
So people can come out, bring you whatever it is they want to know how much it's worth.
That's right.
And you can evaluate it.
That's right. On-the-spot evaluations. They are free verbal appraisals, courtesy of the home show and all of our exhibitors. It's a $25 value for each verbal appraisal, and I do them throughout the weekend. And people can also bring, if they have an object that's too big, a dining room set or a bedroom set, they can bring photographs, and I can appraise from photographs.
Okay, so Dr. Lori, what makes something an antique?
100 years old or more is technically the definition for antique.
Good to know. Okay.
And basically, you and I aren't antiques. We're vintage.
Okay, so what makes it vintage?
Okay, anything younger than 100 years.
Anything.
Yeah,
could be
could be anything. Could be new. It could be the Bob the Builder toy from your kid.
Okay.
That could be valuable too. But remember, it doesn't have to be old to be valuable. It can be a newer piece, less than 100 years old, and still valuable. So you want to think about those types of things when you're getting ready to say, maybe I'm going to hand this down to the kids, or I want to sell this, or that kind of thing. Just make sure you know what you've got.
What makes it valuable? Is it the demand for that object, or is it the age of that object?
Good question.
And what makes it, what makes it the value go up?
That's a good question. There are a couple things that can increase value, but generally, and it's very similar to real estate, it's good quality. You're thinking about location, which is a quality assessment factor, and I'm also thinking about quality in terms of something like condition. So condition is a quality assessment factor, and also what it is. How old it is sometimes and sometimes not. It depends.
Okay.
Who made it is going to be important, and what it does in sort of our cultural history. So if it relates to history, it's usually more valuable. I have evaluated things that are wildly popular, multi-million-dollar objects. And I've evaluated things that I had to kindly say, that's a piece of junk.
So nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, but we all have something, of value. You just have to see what's what. So For the most part, what we do here is I see an awful lot of diverse pieces in my stage show. And on Auction Kings, I appraise, for example, Thomas Jefferson's writing desk. So, stuff that you go, wow, who would have known that?
And how do you come up with the value of these objects?
It's very similar to what you do with comparable sales records in the estate.
Okay.
In the real estate
You have
business.
a database or something you can look in?
Basically, what I do is, and what every good appraiser should do, show you a sales record where a similar piece has sold recently.
Okay.
That's where you get the appraised value. So, if the house, same thing. The house is a 4-bedroom house and it's $500,000, and the house next door had the same acreage and the same thing, $500,000. I do the same thing. Oh, you have this cookie jar that was made by the McCoy Company in the 1940s. One just sold for $250, and yours is the same type. Oh, guess what? It's worth about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people coming to the home show, they could bring coins, stamps, they could bring jewelry.
Art, antiques, collectibles,
Okay.
jewelry, anything that you want from soup to nuts. There are no limitations.
Now, on jewelry, can you tell the difference between a fake and a real?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can do. We're girls. No. But yes, I can tell the difference between
I think
the real
that's
stuff and the fake.
I think that's an interesting thing for a lot of people because a lot of people have relatives that die and they just assume, oh, it's costume jewelry. They don't necessarily know though. Sometimes you need to get it evaluated and make sure it's really costume jewelry.
You always need an expert
Or
evaluation.
if you thought it was real, it could be just the opposite.
Yeah. You always need an expert evaluation, and people will say, oh, well, I didn't know and I made a mistake. I've met the people who have made, hundreds of thousands of dollar mistakes. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to make a $10 mistake.
Yeah.
But you really don't want to make a $1,000 or $10,000 mistake.
So you're not in town all the time. This is a really unique opportunity for people to be able to come here and see you and bring their items. If next week somebody finds something though and they want to have it evaluated, what's the best thing to do? Are there local people that they can contact, or how would you know who to go to figure that out?
If you want the expert in the country to tell you about your object, you can go to drloriv.com.
Okay, and you submit pictures? Or
you can submit pictures, and you'd be surprised at how often I get to the Houston area. Basically...
so hang on till the next time you're in town.
Well, you could do that too. But the website is, totally interactive where you can get in touch with me. You can submit images through our web forms. But basically, you can also follow me on Facebook where much of the appraisals go on.
Fabulous.
At facebook.com/Dr. Lori. But our website is really a wealth of information. I started all this because I met a 75-year-old woman who sold a $50,000 document to an appraiser for $50. And all the appraisers said, oh, well, that's too bad. She should have known what she had. And I said, how's she supposed to know? So I started what is now the 16th year of Dr. Lori's Antique Appraisal Show. So people, every guy, like my mother and your mother and regular people, could bring an object, ask a question of a real expert. And say,
That's fabulous.
What? I want you guys to get the real deal and understand the real deal. But it's been nice to be with you here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
Well, I appreciate it. And Dr. Lori, give us your website again.
Sure. It's drloriv.com. It's DRLORIV, like invaluable.com.
Fabulous. Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate our listeners out there at Houston Real Estate Radio. We are at the 11th Annual Fall Home and Garden Show at the Woodlands. You can still come out. Today's the last day that the show is open, and you can still come out and get your ticket. It's a great show, and we'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.